Hey everybody, once again it's Jeff for TourWars.com, and I'm interviewing the one and only, the very fatigued, the nearly sleepless Stephen Reid. Stephen, we're here at Comic-Con. How you doing, brother?
Nearly sleepless, yeah, that's about right. Less sleep last night than I have had in quite a long time.
But despite that, you're having a very good show. A lot of big announcements, but the real question I have, how many copies of Star Wars The Old Republic are going to be available? Now, the pre-orders opened up, and some of the pre-orders immediately sold out, some locations. Obviously, it bodes well for the game. You can't sell an infinite number of copies when the game launches. What's the story on that?
So, basically, we've done a lot of research into the game. We've looked at a lot of market research about how many people are interested in playing the game, how many people are interested in buying on day one, and those numbers came back, and those numbers were considerably high. And we've certainly looked at the number of people, and then we've looked at sales projections by territory and everything else. And there kind of comes a point where you have to say, you know what, if we are going to maintain the kind of level of service and the quality of service that we want to have, which is extremely high, then you have to consider that you go beyond a certain point, and then that level of service is going to suffer. The difficulty is that you're dealing with an awful lot of countries, and you've got to staff up in a whole bunch of different areas to make sure that you can cope with that. And we are staffing up considerably, but there is a point at which you have to say, okay, well, is this what we want to do? And we have a lot of people on the team with a lot of experience from previous MMO launches, and we're looking at that and looking at all their sort of collective wisdom, and we're trying to do the best for the customers. It's about quality of service and making sure that we don't have a bad launch. Quite frankly, we want it to be a good launch from the beginning, and we want people to enjoy the experience. So we're doing every single aspect of pretty much everything we do in planning for launch is about quality, and this is one of the things we had to do, and it's a tough decision.
Now, a bad launch for an MMO is something that no one will ever forget nor forgive. You mentioned that just now. I mean, that has to be weighing pretty heavily on your mind.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. I mean, it's extremely serious, and we all know that everybody wants to play the game. There's no doubt about that. And ultimately, I should point out, everybody will. We'll get it into every country that wants to play it. And one thing I've been saying in the past, and I will say again, is that we're really very, very, very focused on story. And yes, I know that people can complain about the possibility of spoilers, but assuming you can keep yourself spoiler free, the story will still be there for you. Whenever you get to play it. And I mean that in terms of in 2 or 3 years' time, when someone who is completely casual and doesn't even know about the game, when they pick it up, that story will still be there and it'll still be great. There is, a sense with MMOs of feeling that you have to be there on day one, and that you have to be, the first to max level and everything else. And honestly, that's, not the kind of game that we're trying to make. We want the journey to be exciting and worthwhile. And the conclusion is still, hopefully exciting and worthwhile, but it isn't what the entire game is about. It's not a question of the game starts at the end. We want the game to start at the beginning of the game and to continue all the way through.
Now, it's a bit of a loaded term, and I don't mean to misuse it, but what about something like a staggered launch? You have an initial number of copies of the game, and then as you gear up and as you're able to staff up and assess the need, you release large numbers of other copies as you go, kind of in a staggered way. Is that the plan, or is that what's on the table?
I really can't talk much about post-launch stuff. We intend to get to other countries and other territories, and we're gonna get to that, and when we're able to talk about it, we will, So yeah, the plan is to continue to roll out and to hit more countries, but to maintain that high quality of service all the way through.
Okay.
And to do whatever it takes to do that as well. I mean, this is an example of taking a very serious decision, which we made, and BioWare's. I'd like to think BioWare is known for making serious and important decisions in their games, I suppose. I mean, it sounds kind of strange, but that's the point. We're committed to it, right? In the same way that, and I've really had this, kind of made clear to me since I've been at the company. Polish, for example, people seem to think polish is like this casual process. We've talked about this before.
Right.
It's like incredibly important to BioWare.
Right.
And countless people have told me that the last X number of months before a BioWare game ships, many things can change, and it takes it from being a great game to being an exceptional game. So now we're talking about quality of service as well as quality of game, and that means that we're going to make some tough choices if we have to.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Really appreciate your talking to us, and appreciate your candor in regard to the subject. I think, speaking very frankly on the difficulties of a very challenging launch for a very big game, it's not easy to do. So give us one last word.
You're right, it's not.
Once again, folks, this is Jeff Hollis for TourWars.com, and I am with the very taciturn Stephen Reid. Thanks very much for watching.